Welcome back to Outriders. In this video, we have some partially good news. And I say partially because there are still questions and concerns, but this is a positive take on an update for the game. The update isn't live at the moment, it does mention that, and we'll go through it. I'll also leave it linked in the description if you guys want to read it or check out the comments or anything. And before we jump into this video, make sure you are subbed to the channel, turn notifications on, and if you want to support me as a creator, there are channel memberships, Patreon, and a merch store you guys can take a look at in the description. Remember, all of that stuff is optional, and without further ado, let's jump into it. So the index of this Thursday's dev news is changes to legendary drops, signing in issues, patch news, appreciation package news, and list of known issues. So, starting off with the changes to the legendary drops. This is everything players have been asking for. When they implement this, I do expect a little bit of a spike in the player count, which will be really good because this game should succeed. The only reason it's not succeeding is because the developers have never really listened. Every patch they've put out has made the game even worse. So there is still that possibility. I will definitely be checking this out. I might do a live stream if I have the time and stuff, and obviously depending on what the kids are doing. But this and what they've said should definitely be positive as long as they do not mess it up. So, we are making some changes to the legendary drops. These changes are not live today, but are planned to go live as part of our next patch, which is scheduled for early next week, and here are the changes you can look forward to. So, the legendary drop rates across the board will be increased by 100%. I don't know what they mean by that because, hear me out with this, obviously 100% just means doubled. But with the percentages on the expeditions at tier 15, you have a 25% chance. If they boost that by 100%, that goes to 125%, which in terms of the legendary drops from expeditions, that should pretty much guarantee or over-guarantee every single time. Whereas if they are simply doubling it, because it just says increased by 100%, if they are doubling, then that will mean that it's going to 50%, which is still a pretty good, that's a very, very good increase. However, with the world's tiers outside the expeditions, that is already over 100%. So that is, I believe it's 425%. So if they're increasing it by 100%, it's probably just going to go to 525%. However, if they mean doubling it, that will go to 850%. And I'm pretty sure before the game launched, I mean like months and months before, when they initially showed the world tiers, we saw like an 800% legendary drop modifier in the first place. So I don't know if they mean they're just increasing it by 100%, so tier 15 will go to 125%, and I don't know how that's going to work. Or if they just simply mean they're doubling it, so world tiers will go to 850, and expeditions tier 15 will go to 50. So let me know what you think about that in the comments, and just please make sure you tell me I'm not going insane by wondering if that's a simple 100% increase or it actually doubling. Because I don't understand how the expeditions would work with a 125% chance when they already have a 25% chance, and that does seem to work as though out of 100% you have a 25% chance of getting them, whereas the world tiers, it seems to have a separate base value. So for an example, if you've got a 1% drop chance, that 425% increase for being world tier 15 will basically boost that up to 5.25% chance. However, I feel it's a little bit lower than that because legendaries rarely drop from anything outside expeditions besides the hunts, historian, and bounty stuff. So the legendary level brackets will be removed so that all legendary items can drop at any level. Previously, some items could only drop from enemies of certain levels or above. For an example, the Yugaki Cowl could only drop from enemies of level 48 or higher. This is the thing that really confuses me and also frustrates me at the same time, because nobody ever knew there were set mechanics behind getting things. And no, I don't mean there's a guaranteed drop for doing a certain expedition. You just couldn't actually get this Yugaki Cowl from any enemy below level 48. Or Ugaki Cowl, I don't know how to pronounce it. We'll just call it a cow. We won't even add the L onto the end. So there was absolutely zero way of getting that below level 48, which is challenge tier 13, if I remember correctly. So what mechanics are in the game for other items? Which items are there? When they say previously some items, which levels, that's the details they should have shared with us weeks and weeks ago. So I'm a little bit frustrated that they still weren't sharing that stuff, because they were supposed to do a deep dive with legendaries because everyone said the drop rates suck, but they're kind of skipping that and going, oh, we don't need to talk about that, we don't need to tell you the mechanics, we still want to keep them hidden, we're just going to increase the chances and hope it kind of like slides under the radar. However, the legendary anti-duplication system is going to be implemented. This is one I don't think is going to work. However, this system will mean that if a character has an item in their inventory or their stash and a duplicate item is rolled, so if you have a death shield on your character or in your stash or anything and you get a death shield, like, because this could go bad as well. Say for example you need Inferno Seed or Funeral Pyre. However, the death shield, if it drops at God roll and you don't have one God roll, because you have that item in your stash or on your character, if you get a death shield drop and it's God rolled, that can roll to prevent a duplicate. So there is part of this system that is going to screw the players over. And I didn't even think of it at the time. Like, when I first had a quick flick through this before I started recording, I didn't even think of it like that, but that could definitely happen. Because if you have ever had that item drop before, the dropped items will now re-roll themselves once. If you've had 20 death shields and you've never had, like, your highest one is 92k, and you get one to drop from an expedition, it's the God roll 99.4, because it's a duplicate, it will possibly roll to another item. I don't think this system is going to be a fan favourite. Just from simply mentioning that, it's got its flaws, and it might not be implemented properly either. But the system doesn't guarantee that every drop will be unique. It's designed to provide a second roll at avoiding a duplicate. But I don't think they're going to put filters in to stop the best items in the game or the most used items in the game from re-rolling. And then the scripted boss loot from the Chrysaloid and Yagak will be able to drop all non-class specific legendary helmets. So this change will improve the variety of items in the campaign. Previously, these bosses would only drop a selection of legendaries, and it's the same pool that was available in the demo as well as the Cannonball helmet. However, it's now going to drop all non-class specific legendary helmets. That's something that should have been in the game from the very beginning. But this one, the luck system, will be improved, and players should no longer experience very long droughts without a legendary item dropped during the endgame. So they finally acknowledged the issue of people going like 20 plus expeditions and not getting a single legendary to drop. However, I have a very bad feeling when they implement these changes, something's going to happen and legendaries will drop far too often. So it's going to need a nerf to balance it again, and it's pretty much going to rule all of this stuff out. That's how I think it's going to happen. It could also just be that it doesn't feel like it's changed. It could feel like it has changed, but it seems broken in some way. But after the mention of the luck system being improved, the base scaling of legendaries dropping through higher difficulty levels still applies, so you will still want to farm as high as possible. So basically, just carry on doing what you've been doing already. Push for the challenge tiers, play through the highest possible expeditions, try and get your gold times. However, your legendary drop rates should improve. And then moving on to the signing in issues. Our upcoming patch will include changes and improvements to the back-end sign-in system, which are aimed at improving sign-in times and mitigating against sign-in issues, especially on Xbox. For background, currently when the game signs in, it pulls any data tables related to balancing that have been updated since launch. Downloading a great number of these tables may be a root cause for the sign-in timing out and players ultimately getting stuck. We are now cooking the updated tables directly into our next patch, which should improve the sign-in time significantly, so why haven't you done that from the get-go? That doesn't seem like it's too tough of a change, and it's taken them fucking weeks to sort this out, and the reason I'm absolutely fuming about this one is because a lot of people haven't even been able to log in to get their stupid appreciation package because of these issues. This should have been top priority. I mean, PlayStation, when they did the fix for that took weeks as well. These are important things that need to be changed within a day or two. You can't go weeks without fixing these signing in issues because it's stopping people playing your game. If people can't sign into your game, do you really feel that they're going to recommend it to their friends? You're not going to be sitting in the pub having a pint and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm playing this game called Outriders. Your mate's like, oh, yeah, I'm getting an Xbox. Should I get Outriders? No, can't sign in, mate. What's the point? Can't play the game at all. Spend 60 quid, can't play it. It doesn't let you sign into the bloody game. But then we're moving on to patch news. Our latest patch is undergoing testing and we are hoping to release it early next week, though we still need to confirm this basically. Some of its content can be found in the known issues list, but it will include a few other new things as well, including some potentially significant improvements for multiplayer sessions. I mean, how many times have you got to fix these servers, put bandages over them to try and make them better? You're not going to. All you need to do is contact your publisher and say, look, Square Enix, stop being so tight, give us the money to dedicate our servers. P2P is not working. We are sick and tired of putting bandages over these, trying to improve the stability and the experience with connections, and it's not happening. We need something done, especially for this to be a major franchise. They want to continue with this story. They need to do something about these servers, because Outriders 2, if that's on P2P, a lot of people are just dipping straight away, and rightfully so. The above sign-in issue combined with the legendary drop changes is one of the reasons why we needed a bit more time with this patch. Don't go giving the stupid excuses right now. We didn't want to implement the legendary drop changes via the back end, while at the same time running the risk of negatively impacting sign-in times, so we needed a bit more time to add these changes into the patch. Nobody cares. Just get it done. You don't need to say, oh, we wanted to do this sooner, but we've not been able to because of this. You're just going to annoy your players even more. Oh, look, if there weren't sign-in issues, they could have done the legendary drop rates faster. Why are people playing on Xbox? Just move to PlayStation or PC, you won't have sign-in issues. They could have done the legendaries faster. Don't say that sort of stuff. Just leave it out of the notes. Appreciation package news. Suffice to say, this didn't roll out quite as planned. I mean, that's the case for every single patch. I'm glad you finally noticed with something. We are sorry that many of you received a weapon you already previously had obtained. This was not our intention. So everyone's saying it's your firepower, it's your mods and all that sort of stuff. No, it was just the weapon. I mean, it was very good of the community to try and figure this sort of stuff out, because the devs just went radio silent until now. But yeah, it wasn't their intention. It never is when something goes wrong. They're sorry. They're really not, because they could have done stuff sooner. We are currently refining the appreciation package script, and they're planning to re-grant the package to players who will have claimed it between its initial release last Thursday and when its new version will be deployed, likely next week. So that means, let me get this straight. Any items already obtained through it are not going to be removed from your inventory. So you keep the one thing they've given you, which you've already had before, so it doesn't matter anyway, and then you just get another item on top. I mean, why are they still not listening in terms of giving players a full armor set, letting you pick your own legendary? Why are they not doing that? But let me get this straight. They are currently refining the package script. I mean, you should have made a separate script to the inventory restoration one. And they're planning to re-grant the package to players who will have claimed it between its initial release and when its new version will be deployed. So, when its new version will be deployed, they're fixing sign-in issues in the same patch, yeah? So players that haven't been able to sign in to claim the appreciation package, they're not going to get 2. And that's all because they haven't been able to sign in. In fact, they're not actually going to get the new one, which should, more than likely, guarantee you're getting one you haven't obtained. When the sign-in issues are fixed, you're just going to get the standard one. Because they said they're only re-granting or planning to re-grant the package to players who have claimed it already. So if you haven't claimed it, you don't get this new one. And some players haven't been able to claim it because of signing in. Like, it's taken me, just a normal, everyday person, gamer, it's taken me seconds to read that and figure that out. That might not be the case. Not entirely sure. But if that is straight up bollocks. And they will need to do it again. All it takes is 2 IQ to figure out. Just give another appreciation package to everyone, so that the players that haven't been able to sign in get 2 when they log in. Don't try doing it so that only certain players get it, if they've already, claimed their first one. And that's what really annoys me about this dev team a lot of the time. They're unable to figure out things that are just common sense. So they have a list of known issues, and this is going to wrap the video up. Note 1, it's not an exhaustive list. It's also not a list of patch notes. Note 2. Investigated means that they've been able to successfully reproduce an issue on their dev environment, and they're currently looking at the root causes of said issue. If they've not yet been able to reproduce a certain issue, it may not be listed, but that doesn't mean they're unaware of it. So you ready for this? All items being marked as new when entering a new gameplay session. Issue will be resolved in the upcoming patch. Trickster movement impeded when using Cyclone skill and being stunned. Issue is going to be resolved. Hell's Ranger items not appearing for players on the Epic Store, going to be resolved. That should have been done as soon as it was actually as soon as it popped up from the community. That should have been fixed. That's pre-order content that's also sold separately. Also, with the items being marked as new, that should have been solved way before now. That could have even probably been changed back end. They're able to do nerfs and stuff, like full-on nerfs back end, so why can't they do that? Pyromancer's Feed the Flame skill may not properly proc the Ash effect in multiplayer, gonna be fixed. Isn't it Feed the Flame? Like, you guys are gonna have to correct me on this in the comments. Isn't Feed the Flames the one that's supposed to heal you? Because they're only sorting out the Ash effect not proccing, they're not fixing any healing from it. The Devastator's Gravity Leap, not jump, is Gravity Leap, can cause a client player to get stuck. I mean, that's made for some funny moments. And it's not resolved, it's going to be mitigated against. So that's probably not actually going to be fixed. Certain mods not working, in particular when you're the client during a multiplayer session. This is currently being investigated. I don't care about the rest of that sentence. Or mini paragraph, whatever. Scrap grenade mod stops working after cutscenes being investigated. Are you fucking serious? It's been an issue for the entirety of this game's launch, and they're only just dealing with it. And I mean, it's not even coming in the next patch, they're investigating. Weapon mod Ravenous Locust doesn't deal damage if used together with the weightlessness mod, gonna be fixed. Players dying while a shield is active, being investigated, don't care about the rest of it. Trickster's Hunt the Prey does not turn the player towards an enemy's back if aiming down sights immediately after activation, being investigated. The rest of these are being investigated besides one. So Devastator's statue set bonus ends after 8 seconds, which is not stated, being investigated. Technomancer's Borealis set bonus is not applying properly, however you say that's set. Devastator's blood donation class node may not work without any skill life leech stats boost from other gear or nodes. Revive functionality not working as intended during multiplayer sessions with high latency and packet loss. The packet loss is more than likely down to the servers. I don't think it's player side. Most of the time it probably won't be. Damage blocked stat on expeditions results screen occasionally appears inconsistently or abnormally low. And then, the reason I skipped this one is just one up from that bottom one being the damage blocked. Being re-investigated, journal entries and pickups not appearing on secondary characters. Why is it taking you so long to fix journal entries? That's another thing about these devs I don't understand. There are some things that seem so simple to fix and they just don't know how to. They've tried in the past and they failed. And no, I'm not out here trying to create my own game. I'm not saying anything like that. It's just they have to re-investigate. These people have studied how to develop a game. This is not their first game. It's not their first rodeo of game development. And they worked on this or claimed to have worked on this for over 5 years. How are you not going to sort them journal entries in 5 years' time and still take nearly 3 months after launch to have to re-investigate it, not even have it ready? But that is it. It just goes down to recent informative stuff and other helpful links. I mean, one thing I want to know is, if we have a look, some items could only drop from enemies of certain levels or above. For an example, the Kel could only drop from enemies of level 48 or higher. It's being removed. There will be no more level brackets. All legendary items can drop at any level now. I want to know exactly which ones were locked up, what levels they were locked to. If they were locked to expeditions, I want to know the ins and outs of these drops. And I also want to know if there were ever any way of getting these items, like the Death Shield for an example. Were there any expeditions that had better drop rates for them? I want to know everything, absolutely everything about them. I'm probably never going to find out. I don't think they'll ever actually release it. Now they're making the changes, they're going to try and slip this stuff under the rug. But yeah, that's my thoughts and everything on this patch. I do look forward to trying it, especially the legendary drops. I mean, I got my Death Shield eventually, 270 hours of game time it took me. And that was on Xbox, no cheating, no nothing like that. For a portion of it, I did have a cheater playing with me, but the majority of it, a big majority of it, was genuine grind of this game. So I'm going to leave the video there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.